Hey, my name's Dan Fox, co-founder of Like the Sound of You, and you're listening to the Us People podcast with the fantastic Savia Rocks.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I am really humbled to have Dan Fox here with me. Dan is actually the co-founder at Like the Sound of You. Dan, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the podcast. How are you?
Hi, Savia. I'm well, thanks. Yeah, really well. It's early start in the morning. I've had my coffee.
It is
I'm
early.
good to talk. So thanks for having me on. Love your podcast. It's great.
No, thank you so much. I know that I read your email last night and it said one of the things that stuck out for me was when you said, I'm an early riser, so it's okay. So, and I thought, yeah, we are starting early tomorrow. So yeah, that's really cool.
But it comes with the turf of having a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. So they're up
Yeah.
at they're up at 10 to 6, whether it's Saturday or Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. So yeah, up early riser.
I love that. Dan, my first question for you is something that I always love to ask every single guest that comes on the show. The reason for this is because I love for the listeners to get to know who you are as a person before we get into what you do. So my first question, Dan, is for you. What was it like growing up for you? Where did you grow up? What was your upbringing like? And how did that influence you to be the person who you are today?
Okay, so that's a great question. So I'm very lucky. I came from a loving family. I've got 2 great parents, older brother and sister. Was born in Hillingdon, West London, Hayes. So glad you know. Big fist pump for Hayes. Yeah, I was very lucky. I had a really good, stable kind of upbringing. Went to a regular comprehensive school. I was born with a mild disability. So I was born very, very premature back in 1981, if that work out my age now, 39. And I had a very mild form of cerebral palsy from birth. So basically I've got effectively a slight limp, as I like to call it. So that meant kind of growing up, whilst I went to a normal comprehensive school and did try to do everything that everyone else as a kid does growing up, played football, rugby, had some great friends that supported me through the ins and outs of going in and out of hospital. It was something that was that I had that was different from everyone else. So that kind of shaped me, I suppose, or gives me kind of a bit of drive and determination to strive to be, as successful as I can in whatever I do. So that's I suppose a big part of my growing up was the challenges of having what I would call a mild disability, really, in the grand scheme. But everyone has something in terms of whether it's a disability, whether it's a challenge about themselves, and that was mine, if you like. But as I say, I was very lucky. My family have always been really supportive, really loving, stable family unit, and still are to this day. And so that was my kind of growing up experience, if you like.
That sounds really cool to me. How has it impacted your life, knowing that? I wouldn't say necessarily it's a disability. I would say sometimes we see things as disabilities because we all have them. I have dyslexia, but sometimes I also see them as a gift.
Sure.
How has that helped you in your life to mold you to be who you are?
That's a really good point you made there, because I think I use the word disability, but now I like to use the word ability.
See?
So you lose the disability, because actually it's just something, everyone has something that makes them special, whatever that might be. So I now look at my ability, inverted commas, in a different way than I did when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, I had body confidence issues about my ability, and now I realise that it's helped me to achieve things that I possibly might not have been able to achieve had I not had that experience. So it's it yeah, it's a big part of me, and I'm not ashamed of it. And maybe when I was a child, when I was growing up, the difference between me and my inverted commas regular friends that didn't appear to have anything wrong with them physically, um, that was a big thing for me from a body confidence point of view. But now it's something that I kind of treasure, really, because it's something that it makes me who I am.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I've been very lucky that I've got an amazing wife, beautiful wife, two lovely children, at 39, and I'm on my way to building an amazing tech app. So yeah, it's yeah, I'm very fortunate.
I think you're already there with building the amazing tech app. To be quite honest with you, well, let me go ask some more questions because I'm excited to know about it. I've been reading about it for a while. So
Cool.
my next question for you, Dan, is who do you see when you look in the mirror? What does your reflection say to you as a person, and how do you feel emotionally when you see your reflection back at you?
Okay, so I suppose when I look in the mirror, sometimes I don't like what I see when I look in the mirror at 6 in the morning when I've not had much sleep and I've got the black sort of bags under my eyes and too many wrinkles and I'm starting to get grey hairs in all sorts of places all over my head and there's a receding hairline. But but in terms of the abstract of what I see, I suppose. Now there's a bit more wisdom in me in terms of than when I was younger. So now, as I said, I've given away my age a bit earlier in terms of 39. I'm in my middle years, approaching 40, and now I kind of see someone that's has had their ups and downs. In truth, in their career, has had some highs, some lows, some lows where potentially could have lost my house, could have lost everything fairly recently due to COVID challenges, like so many other people have experienced. But I've come through, I've survived that, and I've come through that, and I'm out the other side now. And so I see determination is probably a word that
Yeah, I like that.
I use time and time again. And I'm the sort of person that gets knocked down, but I'll just dust myself back off, sorry, and jump back up and get straight on with it again. So that is a determined person who values doing the right thing in life, and values people for who they are, and and values the simple things now. So even having an amazing conversation with yourself at 8:30 in the morning is something that I value. Simple communication with people, treasuring the moments when you go to the corner shop and the guy standing behind the counter says hi, how you doing, have a great day. Them kind of interactions that people take for granted, them sort of things day in day out. And it's when you go through a period like we're living through now, where people become more aware of their own mortality and their own kind of our frailties as humans. That them sort of interactions and relationships with friends, family, and colleagues. That's what really matters. So
Yeah.
I've sort of morphed off your question there slightly,
No, it makes sense.
but
No, it
I
makes
hope it's
total
relevant.
sense. No, I like it. You basically what you done is you broke down the different aspects of how you view life and where it's taken you and what you see. And that's important because one of the things that I can pull out from your answer is communication is one of the most powerful things in the world. Without
Yes.
it, where would we be as human beings? You know.
Very, very true.
So no, I totally agree with you. So talk to me now about your journey of
Okay.
becoming the co-founder at Like the Sound of You.
So I'll try and give you a succinct version
No,
as
you
I
can.
can.
No.
So basically, I don't come from a tech background. I actually have worked in property and construction for over the last 20 years, working on multi-million pound construction projects across London and South East. I've worked very hard and been very lucky and have done pretty well in that day job. Um, but as I was saying to you before we came on, it's whilst it's an amazing career, it's not something that you feel like you're instantaneously helping people.
Yes, yeah.
You don't get that sort of feeling that you're helping people on a day-to-day basis. So whilst it's motivated me, to have a professional career and have the kind of inverted commas trappings that you get in terms of having that professional career, having a roof over my head, in a nice village, and having providing for my family. It's not something that when I wake up in the early hours of the morning and get up for. I don't think, how am I helping people today? So over the last 15, 10 to 15 years, I've constantly been trying to think of ideas. I suppose I'm quite entrepreneurial. I'm constantly thinking of loads of ideas of solutions to problems ultimately, and I came up with some terrible ideas. I bounced them off my wife, and she said, "That's awful," and friends, and say, "No, that's a terrible idea." And so over a number of years of thinking of different things and doing lots of reading, in terms of around other amazing people. Um, about 10 years ago, I'm ashamed to say it, I came up with the idea and concept for Like the Sound of You, which is basically a voice first dating app, as I call it. So, and how I came up with that concept was I met my wife through online dating over 12 years ago, when online dating wasn't cool and trendy as it is now. It was very uncool and trendy. It was sort of on websites as opposed to apps. And one of the sort of things I noticed through that kind of experience was that because, as I said, I've got a mild disability and I lacked kind of body confidence. It used to take me time to build up the confidence before I would tell someone about my disability and actually want to physically meet them, because I was quite I suppose introverted and quite lacked confidence. But one of the things I realised through kind of the experience of meeting my wife was when I spoke to someone on the phone, and had a just simple phone conversation, I could share, what I wanted to share at a rate at which I was happy to share it. So, and get to know someone gradually through a conversation, as opposed to, focusing on immediately going on a physical date, sharing everything about myself, and just being comfortable in myself. So that through that sort of process of meeting my wife, I think when we met, when we had our first telephone conversation, we were on the phone to the early hours of the morning, for like well over 4 hours, and that what, one thing led to another. We went on a number of dates. Next thing, she'd moved into my flat.
Hey.
Some years later, we got married, and like I say, and sort of 12 years down the line, we've got two beautiful children. So, so that was kind of the initial inspiration for my idea. Was I realised over the years that I had many friends, colleagues that were in their sort of mid to late 30s and hadn't met anyone, and were lonely, single, wanted to meet someone, wanted to have a life partner, but they had their own issues as to why they lacked confidence, or they didn't feel like there was a space for them to be able to communicate with people from an equal perspective. So, like the sound of you, in terms of its concept, is all around helping people form that connection from an equal starting point. So when you go on any of the mainstream kind of dating apps, most people look at the photo first, and when you look at someone, I do it, you'll do it, everyone does it. You instantaneously judge people on what you see, and then you have a conversation afterwards. So, like the sound of you, what we're trying to do is reverse that kind of concept. So, a bit like blind date online, with a few more sophisticated tech things that will speed a lot, help the process along. But essentially, we're focusing on fluid conversations. So the power of helping people talk and connect on the basis of their voice and what they say and how they say it first, based on their interests, their characteristics, their personality traits, and then should they, like the sound of that conversation, as the company name says, they'll then decide whether they want to see that person and reveal their photo through the app. But both people need to connect, and people need to feel like they've had a positive experience to want to be able to reveal each other's photo. So that there's a lot more to it than that in terms of the app itself, but that's the sort of the background, I suppose, of how I came up with the idea and the basic concept.
What was it like actually starting? What was it like actually saying, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make this reality.
It's scary in a way.
Yeah,
It's very challenging. It's hard work, very hard work.
I can
Anyone
imagine.
that's started up a business, whatever type of business, will tell you we'll say the same thing. It's very hard work, but it's rewarding in the sense that you're, as I say, I've got a vision. I want to help people connect on an equal basis, and help people find happy, lasting relationships. And that's core to my vision and my two co-founders' visions in terms of what we want to achieve with the brand and the app. And because of that, it kind of it drives you to overcome all of the challenges and the obstacles that stand in your way when you're trying to make something succeed. So, but in terms of that first kind of point of saying, right, I'm gonna do this, I suppose I came up with the idea, like I say, about 10 years ago, and there was a lot of stops and starts, in truth, in terms of when I was starting on my own. So, as I said, I had a very successful day job in property and construction. You can't, when you come up with an idea, you can't say, right, okay, I'm just going to stop working. I'm going to just do the idea full time, and I'm just going to live off thin air. You have to be realistic about how you're going to live. So it involves, working in the evenings, weekends, any spare moment you can. That has its challenges when you've got, a wife and two children, as I now have. So there's that time balance of managing your priorities. So it wasn't until probably November 2019, because as I say, for years I tried to do it on my own, and I tried to build the thing on my own. So I tried to self-teach myself open source code, tried to become a programmer, tried various different programs and systems to try and create my vision of the app online myself. And it took a number of years and lots of different advice from some great people that I got talking to, that I realised I'm not a programmer. I might be an entrepreneur with a great idea, but I'm certainly not a programmer. And I realised that at the time there wasn't the technology out there at the time, or it wasn't advanced enough for the vision of what I was trying to create in the solution. So lots of people said to me, look, you need support from others around you. You need other people with the right skills that can complement your skills to make this thing get off the ground. So it was back in November 2019. I saw an Instagram post for a company, an incubator, global incubator called HyperHQ, and I'd seen a number of these things before in the past, and I'd applied online, and it's a bit potluck as to whether they, pick up your message and read it and go, actually, I want to have a chat with this guy, and and they did on this occasion. I sent a message, and I got a response back, and then they sent me what's called an NDA to protect my idea. So that meant that they were, kosher, and I checked them out, and they were, they're based in Melbourne, but they got offices in London, Dubai, I think, and Singapore. So they're a global entity, and had a great conversation with one of their commercial strategists, a guy called Jordan, on the phone. He said, "Why don't you come in and see me in our London, Victoria office, and we'll have a chat with you further." Again, had a chat with him. He loved the idea, loved the concept, loved my kind of vision for the idea, and they decided to take me under their wing, so and help me, mentor me basically to have the skills to become a tech, co-founder and launch my app. So and also create an amazing prototype of the app along the way. At the same time, I'd already shared my idea with Adam, who's a friend and an ex-colleague, and he's now co-founder with me. And he decided that he wanted to come on board. He loved the idea, loved the concept. He'd had his own kind of, before he met his wife, he had his own sort of relationship challenges as he was going up. He was a single parent for a long time, so he struggled to meet people back then. He's now got an amazing wife, so he's very happy. But he remembered that experience, so he that chimed with him in terms of the app, helping people to meet. And so he came on board with me in November 2019 and has helped support me refine the concept, challenge me in terms of the ideas and things. We did a great sounding board, and we work great together, which is ace. And then over the period between November 2019 to date, it's gone amazing in terms of the progress we've made, and then about 4 months ago, our third co-founder came on board, Bijesh, who he basically he'd read some of our online adverts on Facebook, some of our Facebook posts, because we actually went to school together many years ago, and he saw some of my Facebook posts and was intrigued by them, and wanted to meet up for a coffee and find out more. He was a qualified programmer, so from the tech world, which was amazing for us. And he wanted to get involved, loved the idea, loved the concept, loved what we were trying to do. And so he came on board about 4 months ago to help us build our MVP app. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. It's continuing to be amazing. So it's fantastic. Yeah.
How does it feel now to actually have a team compared to when you first had the idea, when you thought of the idea, to you having to do all these late nights, which I'm sure you have, to you now having a team? Do you feel like some of the weight has been lifted off you because now you're all complementing each other, like you say, and helping each other to evolve to make the app and the brand of it better?
Yeah, the guys are great. They it's fantastic to have two amazing people, intelligent, amazing people working with me, but also people that are friends. Is one of the best things in the world, to be able to work with people that you genuinely like and get on with and want to go to the pub and have a beer with. when hopefully we can in the not too
Yeah, I
distant
was just
future,
thinking
one
of
day
that.
maybe, um, but or virtually have a beer with over Zoom. So it's just one of the best things in the world to work with people that that inspire me, challenge me, and but believe in the concept and believe in the
Yes.
brand.
Yeah.
And it has been a release to kind of think to myself, okay, it's not just me anymore. It's not just me on the mission. I've got two co-founders who are brilliant people. I can't speak highly enough of them because they're giving up their evenings and weekends for the business because they believe in it 100% as I do. And now it's not one person on the mission. It's three. So it's fantastic to have that now.
One thing I did want to ask you, we spoke about age a little bit. And you spoke about you being, 39, which I think is still young because I'm only a year under you, to be quite honest.
Brilliant.
I'm literally only a year. So when you said that, I was like, no, we're still young.
We are still young.
We're still young. But one of the questions I did want to ask you is technology has evolved so much. I
Yeah.
remember you talking about the computer and having online dating on a computer. How do
Mhm.
you feel about the next generation coming in? Because they're always constantly on their phones. Like they
Yeah.
can't. Well, on the trains, they're on the phones. You're at
Yeah.
work, you're on your phones. You're on the bus, it doesn't matter. At home, you're on the phones. For the next generation, how do you feel like they will be using your app um, to make your brand better, evolve, and more popular in the sense to make it become what you've always seen your vision of it to become?
Yeah, sure. But that's quite interesting because one of the things I've always said about being a co-founder of Like the Sound of You as an app is that I will only want to launch a dating app that I'd be happy for my 5-year-old daughter when she becomes 21, 25, that I'd be happy for her to use and feel that it's safe for her to use, and it's helping her find someone that she genuinely likes and they genuinely like her. So um, you're right around tech. It's ever evolving and it evolves at a very fast pace. And teenagers and early 20s today, they spend more time on their screens than they do physically interacting and having a conversation with people. So I think what we're trying to do with Like the Sound of You is that we want to encourage people to use the app in the right way in terms of and it encourages people to talk. So whilst it is on a screen on a phone and it is you are on the screen within the app, there's a secure phone call function, which basically means you'll use the app as a phone call, as a secure phone call, but you can remain kind of completely anonymous at that point because you haven't shared your photo, you haven't shared any of your personal details, your mobile phone number, your email, or any of that data. So you can be completely anonymous, have a phone call for having a phone call's sake on the app, form that connection. So that is kind of encouraging people to talk rather than sort of swipe left and right or DM or type, and valuing that that conversation as I'm talking to you now and listening to you, valuing the power of listening to someone, because listening I believe is the most important thing in life, more so than talking. We can all, I'm guilty of it. We can all talk, but I constantly. One of the things I always tell myself is it's really important to listen and really important to ask people open questions and be open to listening to the answer. So we want to encourage people to have that physical conversation, even though it's through the app. And one of the other things we'll be doing is, again, hopefully in the post COVID world, is we'll be doing Like the Sound of You live nights,
Yeah, so that, yeah.
events. So take the online experience offline and give people the experience of the app in an offline kind of setting, in a bar or a restaurant or a hired venue, so they can experience the power of having a valued conversation and getting to know someone on an equal basis, through a physical kind of setting. But I think, just going back to the teenage thing, the
Yeah.
kids kind of thing, in terms of how they'll use the app and how they use kind of tech, I think we often don't give younger people the credit they deserve in terms of their own intelligence and their
I'm
own
glad you
kind of
said that.
emotional intelligence
Yeah.
around how they'll use tech going forward. We often assume a lot of things around screen time and things like that. But I think they know a lot more they certainly know a lot more than I did when I was their age, and they're a lot more evolved as generation than I was as a teenager. And tech can be a really good uh, source of power for good. So positive change, and often in the media and a lot of things, there's a lot of focus on the negative side, and there is the negative side, but there's a lot of positivity around how we use tech to improve our lives. And we would be lost right now, frankly, if Zoom and all the other branded virtual meeting apps didn't exist. So I think I like to think that early 20s that will be hopefully using my app will enjoy it and have a really positive experience.
I'm definitely going to keep an eye on your app, and you too, actually. I love one thing I love is that when I meet a person and they've given me another thing about life is time is precious. And time, anybody who gives you their time in life, they've given you a part of them that you should never forget, because they can be doing anything in the world, but they decided to give you their time. I think that's so important. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on your app and your team.
I'll tell them to watch out.
What are you most curious about at the moment? What makes you say, I know you were talking about work, and work doesn't necessarily make you want to wake up in the morning, but what does make you wake up in the morning? What are you curious about right now?
Okay, so at the time thing, sort of the value of time is the most important thing to me now. So time. So in terms of curiosity, I suppose it's what the future holds in terms of the immediate future for me. In terms of the next kind of I suppose 6 to 12 months. If I base it on the last kind of 6 to 12 months, that's been an amazing kind of journey. It's the curiosity of what the next 6 to 12 months will hold for me and like the sound of you, and how far we can take things over the next 6 to 12 months. I've had some amazing conversations with people that I could never have dreamt of having a conversation with, sort of 24 months ago. Talking to people from Premier League football clubs that are interested in partnering with our brand, talking to one of the biggest film production companies in the globe about working on a marketing partnering opportunity on a film they're launching in the summer, when we hope to be launching the first version of our app. These things that have happened in the last sort of 6 to 12 months, as I say, I have to pinch myself at times to sort of think it's actually real. So if I base it on the last the progress that we've had over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, and the progress we're continually making, the sort of curiosity for me is, wow, okay, who am I going to be talking to in, say, 2 months' time about the brand, and who's going to be interested in investing in us in sort of 6 months' time, and how many sign-ups will we have to our wait list that is growing every day in 12 months' time? But the other thing is what how we can improve, constantly evolve and improve our tech solution to help the customer, ultimately help people that use our app, the users, connect in a way that they want to. So we, rather than like a lot of tech apps, come up with the solution and they launch it to market, and they say, right, okay, now promote it, and they say, now use our app because it's great. What we're doing is we're having that conversation with people now in terms of customer focus groups. We're showing them our prototype. We're asking them what solutions they want, how they want it to work, what are the things that really grind them about current apps. What are the things that if they could design it themselves, what would they have? So we're gathering all that data that we've learned to make sure that we come up with a solution that we as I call it, not my co-founders because they think it's a bit crass, but I like this term. If you think of say John Lewis as a brand, they've always been, in terms of retail, the brand that gives true, kind of a valued customer experience. And that you always knew that if your TV went wrong and you bought it from John Lewis, sorry, I'm giving John Lewis a plug. If you bought your TV from John Lewis and it went wrong, you'd take it straight back, and there'd be no qualms about getting a new one. It was a first-class customer experience, and I think still is. So we want to be that first-class customer experience in the online dating, social dating sector. So we want to make sure that when we launch our first version app on the market, it will give that first class user experience and user journey, and help people ultimately find happy, lasting relationships. So that's in terms of. I hope that's kind of answered around.
No, it has. Yeah, no, definitely. Let's talk a little bit about the subscription or signing up part of it.
Okay.
How will people be able to sign up, and have you thought of a strategy of will it be a monthly or weekly, or how does that work?
So basically it'll be what's called a freemium model. So basically it's free to use for anyone, and a big thing, as I said to you previously, is equality. In our business, and it runs across the three of us and across the business, so end to end. So equality in everything. So we're completely anti all the isms, obviously, but we want to encourage equality and diversity in every spectrum of society. So it shouldn't matter whether you are unemployed, whether you're employed, and how much you earn, as to whether you can use our app. So everyone will be able to use our app for a period of time and for a number of connections. Then if they want to use the app more and have greater functionality, a subscription model will kick in, and its price point is around $9.99 a month for the additional functionality. And then if people want to go on to like an online video date after they've had a great telephone conversation through the app, and they want to continue the journey through video dating, it will then go up to about $14.99 a month. And then there's discounts for if you pay for 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, there'll be a discounted rate off that. But for the first, I say 6 to 12 months, we're offering free a subscription to increase the number of kind of pre-sign-ups that we get. So over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, anyone that goes to our landing page, which is likethesoundofyou.com, another plug, anyone that goes to that landing page and pops their email in, they'll get an email notification response. They'll get added to our wait list, and all of them people that have pre-signed up will get free subscription for at least 12 months. So
that's
because
cool.
we just want to encourage people to
that's really cool.
Test and use our app and give us feedback ultimately.
What are you most proud of? What has made you say to yourself then that you are proud of this because of this? What are you most proud of?
that. So if I answer that in two parts, because I suppose the thing I'm most proud of is being a dad. Ultimately, being
I
a
love
dad
that.
and being a husband.
Yeah.
So I'm a dad and I'm a husband first, and I'm co-founder, like the sound of you, second, and that will always be the case. And I think anyone that's got children will probably say the same thing, that
Yeah, I agree.
they're the most important people in my life is my wife and my two children. Um, and then in terms of the business, in terms of and the app, in terms of I suppose the thing I'm most proud around that is that I've been able to um, connect with friends and colleagues and strangers, people that don't know me, and I've been able to you know get them to believe in me ultimately, and I've been able to translate my vision for what I'm trying to achieve, and to have that feeling that people believe in you and they believe in what you're trying to do, and they not only believe in you but they're actively supporting you. And as I said, talking to through my network to some amazing brands. I mean, been talking to people at radio stations and yourself as well, podcast creators. So and just it's just that's what I'm most proud of is the fact that I've been able to distill my vision in a way that people believe in it and want to see it successful. So yeah, that's what I'd say in terms of why I'm proud about what I'm doing right now with Like the Sound of You.
What is the best advice you've ever received, and how has that helped you in your life?
Okay, so I've worked with some in my day job, my regular old kind of day job, and with Like the Sound of You, I've worked with some amazing, inspiring people.
Yeah.
Um, and so probably the best advice is stay calm. Actually,
Yes, I
stay calm,
agree.
stay calm, and keep focused. So, like, there were times when I was kind of younger, I'd be quite not a hothead. That's not probably the wrong word, but I'd be quite impatient. Would be the right word at work. I'd always want to achieve and climb the greasy pole as fast as I could, and do everything as fast as I could, and achieve as much as I could, at a young age. And someone that was much older, much more wiser, I should say, than me, and a bit older than me, sort of could see that I was, constantly running around and trying to do stuff at 100 miles an hour. And he constantly used to say to me, "Dan, calm down. It'll be okay. Calm down. Take your time.
Yeah,
Focus. Take a breath.
yeah,
Relax,
yeah, yeah, I agree.
and
Yeah,
take things at a methodical pace. And 9 times out of 10, you're more productive than you would ever be when you're running around at 100 miles an hour, trying to do things, as fast as you can, because invariably you make mistakes on the way, and then you end up correcting the mistakes, which takes you longer than had you just, planned your time more effectively and worked your way through things in a methodical way. Another one that I stand by is what is it? Planning. Failing to plan is fail. So
yes,
again,
I've heard that before. Yes.
that's sort of a mantra I kind of live by really. So I always have my lists. So every morning when I wake up at silly o'clock, I have my book and my pad and my list, and I write my list of to dos every day, and thoughts as well, and things that I need to focus on. And as I said, look, when I was younger, I'd probably have a list of, I don't know, 50 things. I'd write everything I could think of that I would want to try and get done in an unrealistic space of time. And then through the course of learning and experiencing that you'd only ever hit maybe 5 things off that 50,
That's true.
if
That
you were
is so
lucky.
true.
I now do a thing where I say, right, okay, well, what are the top 5 things that need to be done today? There might still be 10, 50, 20 things on that list that are priorities, but I recognise that doing 5 things really, really well and getting them done 100% is far better than trying to do 20 things and giving them 20 things 20% of the value they deserve. So um, that's how I like to how I like to plan my time now.
I love that. This question I feel will relate to so many people because we all go through things in life. And the reason why I want to ask you is because I see you as an entrepreneur. I see you as a person that wanted to do something different to help people in the world, just like you've said. So, my question for you is, has there ever been a point where you got to the point where you wanted to give up because you had lack of support, lack of money, um, things going on in your life that you couldn't seem to figure out? What made you get back on track to say, this is what I want to do and I need to do it to make a change in the world?
Yeah, that there's been a number of times, if I'm honest, where I've
Yeah.
thought to myself, actually, this isn't going to work. It's just too much like hard work. I'm not, I'm not achieving. I'm not getting, not getting to where I want to be. And then you take time out and you give yourself a break and you think, hang on, you just normally it's been when I've kind of maybe I go to bed at night and you start thinking before you go to sleep, you think, hang on, is this worth it? Am I really, am I gonna do it? Is anybody going to believe in me? Am I going to launch this thing? And probably it was, I'd say, the turning point for me, if I'm honest, is when things went wrong with my day job. Fairly recently due to COVID. So a business that I worked for in my day job went under, unfortunately, went into administration, had to let me go as a result. And up until that point, as I said, I've been very fortunate. I'd worked at quite a high level. I was well paid, and I lost everything. Lost my career, my day job at least. I've thought about giving up, certainly on like Sandy U. Certainly when I was working on it on my own for a number of years before my two amazing co-founders came on board. It was a long kind of lonely journey, trying to get people to believe in me and believe in the brand and believe in the concept. And I always had the belief, that I could build my vision and build my brand and build my app, but I just didn't know how really for a number of years. And there'll be times where I think I was wasting a lot of time on it because there's time that you have to give up to dedicate to it. So there's evenings, as I said, and weekends that you have to time that you have to give up spending with others, spending with time with with your loved ones and your wife and your kids, that you have to manage that time to try and help build your business. So because of that and because of that pressure of balance of time and managing your priorities, and also you mentioned money as well financially, you spend a lot of money trying to get these things kind of off the ground over a number of years. You have to invest in something to build it. It doesn't just happen on its own, and everything costs money. People's time costs money. Everything costs you. So there are moments where I thought, certainly before November 2019, before I pitched to Hyper, probably around, I'd say, early part of 2019, in truth, I was close to the point of thinking, I've really tried, I've given it my best shot, but actually I need to just go back, just focus on the day job career and focus on my family, focus on my children, which I do, obviously, as well, but just forget this kind of great idea I had and give up ultimately. But then through that period, there was something in the back of my brain that kept on saying to me, "No, you've come far, you've learned a lot, and it's
Yeah.
remembering the things that you've learned and the experience you've had and the skills you've learned along the way. So for them years that I thought I was just failing,
Oh,
actually I was it was quite empowering because I wasn't failing. I was learning. I was
exactly.
teaching myself things. I learned new skills that I didn't have before. I was learning to network with people. I was learning to communicate to people. I was learning to present to people in a way that I hadn't done before
Yeah.
because I'd never needed to. So I think the key thing is to remember that and it's going to sound like a bit what's the word I'm trying to think of lost my school of thought. It's going to sound a bit uh, hopefully not too crass, but life
Oh.
is a journey. Life is a journey,
No,
and
that's a good
you know
saying. It is.
you're constantly learning on that journey, and it doesn't matter whether you're going on a peak in terms of you're on the up or you're going down into a bit of a trough because things are going a bit wrong. Learning in the things that go wrong and why they're going wrong for you and how you can improve and make things better. That's valuable in itself. Um, so I would often, before I go to bed at night, I would sometimes be thinking, oh, it's too much. I'm shattered. I'm drained. My wife's arguing with me about the time I'm spending on this. It's kind of she's unhappy. It'd be all these conflicting things, and then I'd wake up in the morning with a fresh kind of thought, and I think, no, I've come too far, and I've learned too much, and I can't. The inner drive within me would just say, right, no, I need to do this. It's just too important to me to give up on. So and just that constant, I suppose, determination again. I'm going to come back to that word. That constant determination of you get knocked down, pick myself back up, and if I feel like I'm faltering or I feel like I'm not achieving or I'm not getting where I want to be, is taking that stop, taking a breath, being quite calm, and thinking, right, okay, how can I move forward? How can I improve? How can I change things and keep things moving forward? But I think it's important to recognise your areas and where you can improve. And when you've made a mistake, acknowledge, okay, that was a mistake, and I've got that wrong, or I've got that situation, and it could be, and I'm talking generally here in terms of life experience as opposed to just my app. It's kind of there are times where people often don't like to admit their flaws or their mistakes or their areas of improvement because they see it as a weakness, and often in business as well. Traditionally, it's about being the best, having that competitive edge, being ahead of your competition, being kind of the best that you can be, and kind of anyone that kind of admits their flaws or that they've got areas that they need to improve on, that can sometimes be seen as a weakness, which people don't like to present, don't like to
That's
share.
true then.
Whereas I think the power of knowing your areas that you need to improve on, and knowing your flaws, and knowing what things that are about you that you'd like to change or you'd like to work on is empowering, and it is a good thing. So yeah, ultimately, yeah, times that I've felt like I've wanted to give up, I just revert back to the determination, the drive within me to succeed, and just you keep going. That's what I do.
I think you should write a book in maybe 10 years' time about the whole journey.
That's very kind of you.
No, I'm being serious. You should write.
It might be quite a long book. That
I
might be
don't
the
mind.
problem.
I like reading, so it's totally fine. The more you read, the more you enhance your brain, the more knowledge you receive. So that's kind of how I see it. It's a thought. It's a thought. What would you like your legacy to be? I know you've got a long time for you to be doing what you're doing. I know time flies also, but
Mm,
when sometimes I have a saying, and it's, I believe people think a lot at night time. When you're in that peaceful environment or peaceful space, I believe that's the time when we as humans think the most. But what would you like your legacy to be? And have you given it any thought of what you would like your legacy to be?
I've got so much I want to do, really,
Yeah,
and sometimes you don't feel like there's enough time in
yeah,
the day or the week or the month to do all the things that you want to do.
yeah,
Um, but so I probably haven't really given it too much thought at the stage I'm at. But I suppose now you've asked the question and I'm thinking about it on the spot. I'd say helping people connect is helping the people communicate with each other, and helping people connect is something that I want to achieve in the app and in the brand, and help promoting equality and diversity in that experience, and not judging people purely on their looks or their status or their
yes. That's something I
you know
stand for.
or where they're from. That is something that is key to me. And it's something that it's I tell you something when you and I've spoken to TV presenters, radio presenters, models, people through the kind of app, promoting the app experience. So, and through that experience, it's funny when because we all judge people. Unavoidably, we judge people based on the conversations you have, or the way someone, their body language, how they look at you, and things. So your brain automatically has a natural kind of has unconscious biases that are working all the time, and you have to. But it's important to recognise that and understand that process. Um, but it was quite interesting through sort of talking to some of the sort of celebrities that I've spoken to. You would assume certain things based on who they are and how they are. And when you have a kind of face-to-face conversation or phone call conversation, you realise that actually it's wrong, and that you can judge people in so many ways that is unfair and dumbfounded. And because of that, I want my app experience, our app experience, to help people recognise that to value people for who they are, not what they are. What they say and how they say it, rather than just kind of what they see. And having the ability to change how other people think about forming a relationship. There's millions and millions of people out there that are using well-known swiping apps. That, don't get me wrong, there's a place for every type of app out there, and I'm not I'm not down poo-pooing other apps and other brands, but getting people to recognise that there's another way. There's another way of connecting with someone, and that when you form a happy, lasting relationship, and the key word there is happy and lasting,
Exactly. Yeah.
not just happy and short term.
Yeah.
The power of having that lasting relationship goes far beyond the shallow kind of pure just looks, or just kind of status, or where they're from, or how they goes far beyond that. And the reason I know that is because I've been through one of the most challenging, as a lot of other people have been through and still going through, the most challenging period of my life. If I didn't have the love and support of my wife, that's been with me for plus 12 years, and hopefully will be with me forever, I'm not sure how I would necessarily have come through the tough period I've come through as well as I have. And I want other people to have that experience and have that kind of feeling, because I believe it's so important to have positive people around you, have positive relationships with people, whether it be friendships, whether it be platonic. So that's the other thing I show is the app. We're trying to help people find happy, lasting relationships of all kinds, of all forms, and it doesn't matter what type of relationship it is, as long as it's a positive one, that's what we're trying to help people achieve and connect with. So that's what we want to do.
I've got my final question for you, Dan. And this is where I say to every single guest who comes on the show, plug away, okay? So,
I might have already done that slightly.
No, I don't mind. Hey, listen. The most beautiful thing about life is being able to give somebody a chance to have their say and to give other people an opportunity by using their creativity and their talent to make somebody's life a little bit easier. So my last question for you is, could you please tell us, Dan, where we can find you on all your social medias, and where, if anybody else would like to get in contact with you, where can they find you?
Sure. So if you hit up our landing page, so our website landing page is lightthesoundofyou.com. So if you Google that, you'll see more about our brand, our concept, and what we're trying to do. You can email us at info@lightthesoundofyou.com, and if you want to find out more about the app and the business, you can contact us there. In terms of our socials, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So our Facebook and Instagram is @lightthesoundofyou, and our Twitter, just to be slightly different, we've got @lightyoursound. So
oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, just a bit quirky. So they're where you can find us on our socials. If people want to drop an email in terms of getting in contact with me, if they email the info@lightthesoundofyou.com, I'll then pick them emails up and I'll always reply. I'm on LinkedIn as well as Dan Fox. We've got a LinkedIn Like the Sound of You page. So if you search for Like the Sound of You on LinkedIn, you'll find us there. Drop us a message, connect with us, and either me, Bijesh, or Adam will always get back. And I am an advocate and a strong believer of helping others and supporting others. And I've had help and support from so many people that you would think, surely they're not going to give me the time of day. These people are, CEOs of global brands, and why would they want to talk to me? So I'm a strong believer of I've had help and support from some amazing people, and I'm hoping to be one day become one of them. Amazing person.
I think you already are, Dan. To be honest with you,
too kind, but yeah, I'm here to help other people. So if anyone needs some advice in terms of they've got a great idea and they're trying to get it off the ground and they want some advice about how to do it, by all means look me up, and I'll be happy to give help and advice where I can.
Perfect, Dan. Thank you so much for being such a beautiful and humble guest on the Us People podcast. I've loved every minute of it, to be honest with you. Thank you so much.
Ditto. It's been a pleasure and total honour to be on your show. Really, really appreciate it. Love your podcasts. Listen to them either when I'm going on a bit of a jog/run. They've been great to listen to. So yeah, total honour to be on your show.
Thank you so much, Dan. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the Us People podcast. And please remember, you can subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also donate to the Us People podcast by simply going to the Savia Rocks website or just typing in paypal.me/Us People podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another.
Oh, thank you. Ditto, ditto. It's been great questions as well. So yeah, really good, really good experience. So I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Thank you.